live on Facebook,
hi.
everyone. Hi, everyone.
Welcome to Diary of an Actor.
Welcome to Diary of an Actor.
And
this is Friday.
This is Friday. What are we going to talk about today?
Today, we're going to talk about the emails that are coming every minute.
That's quick.
No, today we're going to talk about award season.
Yes, or award seasons, as we should say almost.
And
because
we're both on Facebook and Instagram at the same time, so our
Indeed.
eye line is kind of moving all the
we might
time.
be popping around here.
Yes.
Yeah, it's that time of year when it's pretty much throughout the year that something somewhere is being awarded. I think we've had the London Critics Circle, we've had the Broadcasting Critics Circle, we've had the Golden Globes, we've had SAG-AFTRA. There's a Drama Circle as well, and now, of course, we have the Oscars
and the BAFTA.
Before that, the BAFTAs. So there's a plethora of awards going out. And how do you feel about that?
Hey, Mark.
Hi, Mark. Olivia Colman very famously couldn't take them seriously until now that she is actually potentially a potential contender to receive an Oscar and a BAFTA, and she has been reaping the awards. She is such a lovely person, so down to earth, and I loved her acceptance speech at the Golden Globes. I thought it was very special, totally natural. But yes, suddenly when you're actually potentially receiving an award, the whole game of the red carpet events changes, and you view them very differently.
Well, we were very curious about what films have really made an impact on you this year. We're going to talk about what we loved specifically.
And what did you love specifically?
As films, I have a top 3 film. So the first one, we saw it quite a while ago. I think it pretty much in springtime, but it was The Writer. And it's not an actor playing. It's a real story. He's playing his own story. It's extremely moving. And
what was his name?
Brady Gendro.
Brady Gendro. That's right.
It was one of the I mean, I just couldn't stop being moved by the whole film. The story was. Well, basically, he was. I don't even know how you call it.
He's a rodeo rider.
Rodeo.
He's a rodeo rider, and he gets injured. With the result that really he can never sit on a horse again.
Or he certainly can't compete. Keep having strokes, and it's just extremely well shot, extremely well told as a story. And
Chloe Zhao, she was the director. That was her. I'm not sure whether that was her debut, but it was certainly her breakthrough as far as independent film is concerned, and she's now about to direct her first Hollywood studio film. But she really told this story so beautifully, and his performance was extraordinary.
I don't know how she was able to capture that, and he was just so him, and it was
not only that, but it just captured the landscape. It captured that whole community. I think he's part Native Indian. The majority of the rodeo riders there were Native American Indian, and it just really was so soulful. I certainly, if you've not had a chance to catch it, I really recommend it.
It's available on Prime Video for rent.
Right.
For the ones who want to have a look.
But yeah, that was a
beautiful film, really. The second one for me is Cold War.
Cold War, the Polish contender.
Polish film. Funny that now we live in the Polish neighborhood, and everything seems Polish. The other day I found a Polish a
book on Poland.
Planet, how you call it? Lonely Planet.
That's right.
So maybe something will take us to Poland this year. I don't know.
But again, a beautifully told story.
Yeah.
He's actually predominantly a documentary director. And that's how he approached this. But he chose, very much like one of my favorite films, their director, Quaron, to shoot the whole thing in black and white.
But also, when we saw the film at the screening, he was there and he was telling us that he got inspired by his parents' story.
Yeah,
and
it would appear to be that story.
It's a love story. It's an impossible love story. It's set right after the war,
Second World War. Sorry,
the Cold War, basically, and it's set over a period of time, and they go back and forth, finding and losing each other, and
goes from Poland, Berlin, Paris,
Yugoslavia.
Yeah. And it starts in the late 40s and goes into the late 60s. And again, these two actors.
Yes.
What was that? The
Joanna Kulig and Thomas Scott.
Yeah, Thomas Scott.
Thomas
Scott, who in fact would have been playing the villain in the 25th Bond film, which starts filming in
I
March.
thought it was you.
Yeah, right. But unfortunately, Danny Boyle walked away from the picture, and he disappeared as being that potential villain. He might crop up again. Who knows? They still haven't announced who the director is yet, but who knows? They might actually plump for him again, because he was so defining of that period. He's a great face, a great look.
Yeah, both of them. She's stunningly beautiful, and as a woman and as an actress, she just blew my mind away. She just reminded me of Romy Schneider, and just also the filmmaking just takes you back to the 60s, the way
50s, 60s style of storytelling,
and it's very simple. And it's elliptical. That's how you say it.
Yeah,
right?
Absolutely. And very classically European in its flavor and execution.
Cold War,
which is
in cinemas.
Contender,
isn't it? In cinemas. Yeah.
And what was your third?
The third one is Roma.
Yeah, that's actually my first.
Also black and white. I fell in love with the story. I fell in love with the characters. I fell in love with the filmmaking and
his detail.
The details.
There's something happening in every frame, filling every corner of each frame.
It just feels very naturalistic as well.
And it's not just visual. It's the audio. It's the soundscape he creates as well. Wonderful sounds that you hear before you see. Of the vendors selling things down the street. That wonderful part military band that keeps appearing, but
and extremely moving as well, knowing also that it's a real story. It's his story.
It's his nanny's story.
It's nanny's story,
and she's extraordinary. That girl that he travelled throughout Mexico to the village where his nanny, I think her name is Libo, his actual nanny, and
who has featured in previous films.
That's right. That's right. But she is superb in this young girl. I sadly don't think she's going to win the Oscar.
Here we go, Rachel. Hey, how are you?
Hey, Rachel. Hi. So lovely to hear you, and thank you for your.
You can't hear her, but you know she's here.
You're there. You're hearing us. More to the point. But what I meant to say, hear from you. We have received your card, and I will be writing to you. Thank you very much for that New Year's card. But yes, what was her name? Alicia.
The name of the actress? Yeah. I can't remember. I don't think it's all right. We can put that down on the. But what was your top? You have two other films that you really loved.
Yalitza Aparicio.
Yalitza
Aparicio who played Libo in Roma.
Okay.
Well, Roma. That was my number one. I just.
And we didn't get a chance to see it on the big screen.
And we must. We really must, because that is apparently. So many friends of mine have said you've got to see it on the big screen. You're depriving yourself immensely by watching it on Netflix, which of course brings us, in fact, to this whole hullabaloo that has been about Netflix and its attachment to original films, and Cannes famously last year refused to accept anything from Netflix, from that digital platform, even though they were giving theatrical release, limited theatrical release. Then Vienna, of course, turned the tables on that and did accept it, and now Netflix is heading possibly towards its first Oscar, and of course it has been reaping awards elsewhere with this film. So it's going to change the scene again as far as what is acceptable in festivals, and where these platforms. I mean, Apple is coming in with a huge budget, almost dwarfing Amazon and Netflix for original content. And how is that going to affect things?
What do you think?
I mean, one thing that is very clear, interestingly enough, and it's been bothering a lot of people, is whether Netflix and this creation of so much original content in feature films is going to result in fewer people going to the cinema. However, it has proven, both in the UK and in the US, that last year were record box office sales. So seemingly what it is in fact doing is whetting people's appetite and encouraging them to then go to the cinema and catch the film. It is the great thing that when the Oscars begin to get closer, they do re-release these films. If you've missed them, they generally bring them back in the run-up to the Oscars. I don't think they do it with the BAFTAs.
I think I'd like to see Roma again in the big screen.
I would, very much like to do that. So Roma was my favourite.
And then there was
the favourite.
The favourite.
Yorgos Lanthimos, who's famous for his very surreal movies, The Lobster being the last one, which also, funnily enough, had Olivia Colman in, and I think Rachel Weisz was in that as well. Olivia Colman, I'm going to keep singing her praises. I think she's been seemingly grossly overlooked globally. As a homegrown talent, she's very much, and has been for a while, the darling of the UK. And understandably, because she leaves a touch of class.
I only discovered her in the series Broadchurch.
Broadchurch.
That's how I discovered her. I had never seen her before.
She's a stalwart of the stage, and her breakthrough was in fact Paddy Considine. I think that was his directorial debut, and he wrote Tyrannosaur, and she played one of the main protagonists in that, and well, actually, both actors in that were extraordinary, but her performance. I had loads of people coming up to me here. Well, at the time we were in Los Angeles, saying, "Who is this Olivia? What's her name?" It's like, Olivia Colman. Now she's everywhere, and of course, we will be seeing her taking over from Claire Foy as the Queen in the next season of The Crown.
Yes, I can't not wait for that.
But her portrayal of Queen Anne in The Favourite, if you haven't seen that, it is an extraordinary film. It reminded me a lot of Peter Greenaway's Draftsman's Contract, which, interestingly enough, if you talk to Americans, either they don't know who Peter Greenaway is, and they certainly don't know that film. He did A Z and Two Noughts. He did the Cook, the Cook, his wife, and his lover, and something. But that was with Michael Gambon and Helen Mirren. I got that name wrong. But the Draftsman's Contract is extraordinary. So stylized and such a beautiful piece, set in the 1800s, the 18th century, in the mid 1700s. It's very similar in that, but with these three extraordinary performances from Emma Stone,
I think
Rachel
the three
Weisz,
of them
and Olivia
together work really well.
As an ensemble, it works really well. The whole company are extremely good. But it's just such a wonderful off-the-wall piece. Yeah,
it's just very. I mean, I felt very unsettled watching it too. Very just don't know where it's gonna take. And
some great moments. Some great moments. So that was my second. Now my third, I'm kind of caught between the Green Book and Black Panther. I really did enjoy the Green Book. I mean, Mahershala Ali and Viggo Mortensen's performances excel.
It's such a
and it's an extraordinary story, and there's been a lot of controversy over it because Don Shirley, who's this amazing classical African American musician who did travel to Europe. He used to travel all around the world putting on his concerts, but he chose to travel America, and in order to make a point, and this is in the 50s, so well, I mean, I wish I could say that, that was the height of racism, but it just never seems to stop. But he made a point of going into the Deep South, and to do that, he had to revert to doing jazz numbers mostly, rather than classical music. But his family has said this story isn't true. They've said it doesn't really tell the story.
Well,
it's written by the actual Lip, Tony Lip. Oh gosh, what is his name? Valunga, Tony Valunga, by his son. One of his sons actually wrote and co-wrote and co-produced this film, and met Don Shirley when he was a kid, and obviously worked a lot with his father, Tony Valunga. Actually was in the Goodfellas. I think that's right, the Goodfellas, yeah, and the Sopranos. He actually went on to have an acting career of his own. But yeah, it's
well, that's what I find. Like, there's a lot of stories that are real stories that have been told, like like Versace. We've had
again, that's awards. That's the Globe. This
a very
is TV.
English Scandal. Those are TV and stuff,
and Escape at Donamara.
Exactly, those are all, but
they're all based on true stories.
They are based on true story, but somehow they have to.
Yeah, Beautiful Boy is another one, and everything takes a little twist. I mean, Mary Queen of Scots, there's a true story, but the two queens, Elizabeth and Mary, never ever met ever, and of course that's not good drama. And so in the screenplay, they meet.
Yeah.
So there is actually an article I haven't read yet in The Guardian, which is stating, I hadn't quite got to read it, but it was saying, do historical biopics have to be accurate? And that's mostly, I think, in telling the story.
Yeah.
And obviously one doesn't know, when you're looking at the story, American Crime Story, with the assassination of Gianni Versace, which I highly recommend.
Yes,
Darren Criss's performance in this.
Yeah.
No wonder he's winning every award he's going up for as best actor in a drama series, limited drama series. It really is standout. But you can't possibly know really what happened. I didn't know his story. I didn't know that his character, that he actually was a serial killer, and it was in the space of a month. He killed
3 months.
Over 3 months, he killed 5 people four people prior to killing Versace. I don't think he killed anyone after that. But
no, he got caught.
But you don't know what were the conversations that were happening during, before, and after, and that's the job of the screenwriter. To try and piece it together, and also to make it dramatic and to hold the audience's interest. So true stories, I think this is a lot, of course, why they have to say based on a true story. Because
what about Black Panther? So you mentioned Black Panther. What did you like about Black Panther?
Because
I love superheroes.
But it
films,
totally
it
broke that mold of superheroes. I don't. There was something just so it's a curious thing to say about superheroes, but so genuine about them, about their portrayal. It was fabulous performances all through. Fabulous performance. I think they did in fact win an ensemble performance
that was
for
last
SAG-AFTRA, and they so deserved it because there wasn't a bad apple in there. Although I know a friend of mine wasn't entirely blown away by Michael B. Jordan's performance. He felt it was a bit cliched. I actually quite liked it, but
it's a style as well. Like it's a style of
and it's a choice. He made that choice of how to portray that character, and I thought he portrayed it really well. But it's just it was just a fresher breath air from all the the Avengers.
I love the stunts and the action scenes and
everything extraordinary. That car chase as well. Curious.
We saw it like quite a while too.
We saw that a while back, absolutely, and then there was all this furore over that as well, whether it should have a special Oscar, a people's vote, because they, you can't take an action movie seriously as far as the Oscars are concerned. And in the end, of course, everyone kicked up such a fuss about that, they had to drop that. And it is, in fact, a contender for Best Film, as is, interestingly, Bohemian Rhapsody. Now, I'm sorry, but I'm really gobsmacked that won Best Film for Golden Globes.
Yeah.
I really don't know why it's in the Oscars.
Amazing performances.
Rami Malek.
But as far as the storytelling, it was...
I'd love to have seen Sacha Baron Cohen's Freddie Mercury. Sadly, we never got to see that because he fell out with Bryan Singer long before they even went into production. And then he famously fell out with everybody before he finished the film. And Dexter Fletcher stepped in, who's actually you will be seeing a Dexter Fletcher film soon, because he has done it's the biopic of Elton John.
Oh yeah.
I don't know what he's called now.
I can't remember neither.
But that is coming out very soon, and he finished the movie off. But I honestly, aside from the performances, I also found it really disappointing as far as a biopic on Queen is concerned. I really don't, it's difficult. How do you do that? That's a huge, huge canvas to cover.
Period of time.
But I just felt there wasn't enough about him, and his life was extraordinary, and they held back from showing these truly in depth as to into this hedonistic life that he led. So
we're very curious, whoever is watching now or later, what are your favorite films this year? What did you think about? Hey James, James Jerome is here.
James,
we're very curious to know what everybody else thinks and what are their top films.
A Very British Scandal. I love that.
So now we can talk about TV. Yes.
Yeah.
I feel like we've been watching constantly, so much stuff this year. Much more than last year.
I didn't watch all the BAFTA. I meant to be voting for BAFTAs, but I had to abstain because I just had too much going on.
There's one more film that I love. It's If Beale Street Could Talk.
Yes.
It was also absolutely
Brian Jenkins, who did Moonlight.
So moving. The
James
cinematography, the colors, the music. I've got
fabulous performances. Kiki Lane, who's just a breakout. That was her first film ever. I was actually reading today. She'd come from Chicago to Los Angeles for another film, but before she arrived in LA, a friend of hers had come to her because he was up for the role of Fonny that Stephen James plays, and she read this because she was going to read for him, and she thought, hang on, I should go up for this for her, for her role. So she duly.
You always have the inside.
I literally just read this. So she thought, sod it, I'm going to try for this. And so she literally didn't just fly out for some audition. She packed up her whole lot, her life, and moved from Chicago to LA, and had 2 disastrous months when nothing was happening. But where suddenly her self-tape was picked up. She was asked to come to New York to do a chemistry test. That sounds bizarre, doesn't it? Especially if you went to prep school like you and me, James. You don't want to do chemistry tests. But a chemistry test on screen between her and Stephen James playing opposite her. And the rest is history. She proves to be an extraordinary performer.
You just never know. And that's what Jason Bateman was saying at the SAG-AFTRA Awards last weekend. Was saying you're one job away. You're only one job away, and it's true.
I've been one job away for 30 years now.
No, that's not true. You live in New York, or
that's true.
That is absolutely not true.
Things
Don't say that.
changed.
Don't say that. No. But you can say that for me. I have definitely haven't been as active.
Yeah, but
As an
actually,
actress, but
things are changing.
yes, exactly.
Yeah.
But you just never know. Just keep doing what you do, and it will.
And that is really. I think he was talking to the younger actors, but it is so true because you do not know at what stage or age in your career things are suddenly something is going to happen. That's suddenly going to change. I mean, that is the information I wish I'd had when I was a youngster coming out of drama school or even going into drama school. That you're in it for the long haul. But
at the same time, you're here and you're still doing it. So
there's the answer. I am still doing it.
There was many opportunities to quit, but they're still there.
No, you keep putting in the work, and the benefits will be reaped. And I can't talk about what I'm doing at the moment, but I will eventually. But there are lots of things happening in the background this year.
Behind the
scenes, which is all fantastic, and I'm very excited about that. So
then let's talk about TV now. Let's talk about
we were talking about the Very British Scandal with Hugh Grant, Alex Jennings, on Jeremy Thorpe, which is funny because a lot of some of my British friends in LA who the same age as me don't fully remember that incident. I do, in this because I was about 13 or 14 when it took off. When he attempted to have his lover bumped off, and it all went horribly wrong.
What a story! It's just was just like
it is extraordinary, and you do think, actually, why was this not made before? It is such an extraordinary story.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously, I think Jeremy Thorpe, and he died in 2014, so I'm sure that has a lot to do with it. They were waiting for the main players, apart from Norman, what's his name? But the young lad who's still alive.
Yeah.
Probably must be in his 70s now. Fabulous. Hugh Grant. I know you either love him or you hate him.
Well, I didn't used to like him so much because he was doing those romantic cheesy comedies.
He does them so well.
He does. But I think he's growing. He's aging really well, and just offering so much more to see.
His face has become more characterful.
Yeah, exactly.
He says it's melting the way it's dropping. But no, he really. Whatever you feel about him, he is the most superb comedy performer. And he just makes it look so easy. And it isn't. And he's just wonderful. And this is such a nuanced performance for him as well, Jeremy Thorpe. It went to so many different levels. So as much as I do love Darren Criss's performance, I was a bit peeved that Hugh Grant didn't get the Golden Globe. But I'm sure he will get the BAFTA. Because are
you sure?
I'm pretty darn certain it will go to him. It will not go to.
We'll see. We're putting it out there.
Well, it does. I do tend to notice that British talent is favoured. Kind of makes sense, really, at the BAFTAs. Just as one can't quite say that with America, with the Oscars, because a lot of Brits do walk away with them. I'll be very surprised. And now here's one we've not talked about. Because we both have different views of it. But I'll be very surprised if Christian Bale doesn't win the Best Actor for Vice, because there was an extraordinary performance which you didn't like.
No, it's not that. I thought the film. I didn't like the film. I liked the subject of it. I liked. I was very interested by the story and really stunned by it. As far as his performance, I think we always seem to see him in, covered in something.
What you mean? He's either lost weight or he's put on weight.
Yeah.
Or he's got a.
I don't know. It just.
He's a transformative actor.
For me, it's like I don't see him. I don't like. I don't know. It's a weird thing. I'm like, I'd like to see him. Like I'd love to see Christian Bale as not.
Actually, no. Now you do mention it, I'm trying to think. But I mean, he just happens to be one of those.
Or he plays period pieces, or like he's always like this. I don't know.
You sound like Marlon Brando. which one could say is quite Marlon Brando-esque. I have a very naughty story about him, but can't tell it.
No, don't tell naughty stories here.
That story.
Keep them private.
Yeah, but what was I going to throw myself
Christian
there?
Bale.
Christian Bale. Yes, he happens to be one of these transformative actors that brings the character to him, rather than Hugh Grant, who is an actor that brings himself to the character. And you can say that again. Tom Hardy is someone that likes to immerse himself in the character, lose himself in the character, so that he becomes indistinguishable. And yes, it would be interesting to see Tom Hardy as closer to himself, which possibly did in that awful film Spies in Love. I think it was called Spies in Love or Spies at War with Chris Pine. It was terrible, terrible bloody film. But yeah, I've never. Christian Bale actually probably the closest to himself was when he was in Young Swing Kids. He was playing Hitler Youth in Swing Kids.
That was like for a long time.
He was 19 then. He was 18 or 19 at that
You were
point.
in Swing Kids, no?
Funnily enough, I was in Swing Kids. Yes, I was.
I just remember for when we filed the green card.
I was in that, and he was a very charming young man.
I'm sure he.
I don't know.
I'm sure he
I've
was.
not met him. Yes,
I don't know.
Not met him since.
No.
Who believes the press? We heard all kinds of awful stories, but yeah.
Anyway,
that's Vice. We were talking about Vice because I didn't like his other film, not the director. What's it called? The Big Short.
Big
Short.
I just don't like the style. I just don't like the style, the editing,
didn't bother
it's just
and,
this back and forth. I just don't like the cuts. I don't like how it's filmed.
Rockwell. What's his name?
The fake, credit things. Yeah,
Sam Rockwell. That's it. I mean, his performance is great.
Yeah.
It's nothing special. I mean, I really loved his performance in Three Billboards. It was extraordinary. But I know a lot of people said, yeah, he's dialing it in. He's doing the same thing. You think this is it. You can't please everybody.
No.
At the end of the day, when it comes down to who's going to win, it's all down to, obviously, personally, subjectively.
Well, for me, it comes down to if it's touched me in any way. Like if I'm moved, if I feel, I have to feel something. This film, I felt angry about the story, but I didn't feel anything about the character, really.
How can you say that? If you were feeling angry about the film, it was because of his characterization that you have to have felt some animosity towards him. As he said, when he picked up his award at the SAG-AFTRA, was it SAG or Golden Globes? He thanked Satan, which didn't go down very well. But he was obviously doing something right for you to feel that much anger.
Yeah, probably. Anyway, it's just a personal feeling, whatever. It's hard to explain it.
We agree to differ.
Yeah, I can't really. I was just watching it and it felt like a filter in between.
And I'm trying also actually, and the best foreign films.
Oh yeah,
which we have been very, very lucky to see.
Yes. Well, Cold War is one of them. Roma is one of them, actually, and there's Capernaum that you saw, and I did.
Lebanese film about this little boy who runs away from home and ends up getting lost almost.
So isn't he suing his family for giving?
He does eventually. Yes, he does. He does. He sues his family for giving birth. But before that, there's this whole gamut of events that see him alone for long periods of the film with an 18-month-old baby. It's extraordinary. I'm trying to think who was the director, because she had success with a previous Lebanese film. Here we are. It's Capernaum. Bing bong comes up with a trailer. No, does not give me
the name. You wanted the name of
what was the director's name? Nadine.
I don't think I wrote it down. I don't think I wrote it down. But there was another one we saw that was
a Belarus
a
film.
beautiful film called Crystal Swan. I just wish we could see more foreign films here, that we would have access to them, or maybe we just
And that should have been a contender.
don't give ourselves the means to see those films as well. But I'd love to see them in like bigger theaters. And
I mean, we are, to be honest, we are spoiled for wonderful little art house theatres.
Yeah.
We've even got a tiny one down the end of our street here, which you wouldn't even be able to fit a kebab shop in. But they've got this little art house cinema doing some pretty exciting features, and quite big mainstream features show there as well.
Yeah.
So yeah.
So we were kind of like going all directions here, but we were talking about TV, and we went back to films. So for me, the top TV shows are Sharp Objects, Mrs. Maisel, very different styles, and Escape at Dannemora. Like those are the three. I mean, there are many shows that I like.
Killing Eve.
Killing Eve was
fantastic.
one of them.
Informer. We've just started watching that now with Paddy Considine, which is produced by Sam Mendes.
Yeah. But that's not going forward.
It isn't, no, but it jolly well deserves to. It might. I don't know whether it qualifies for this year's. I mean, next year probably. Maybe next year. And I'm sure it may well get a sequel. I think, in fact, it is, because I seem to remember they did say that they're going to do a second series of Informer. They are doing a second series, of course, of Killing Eve. But yes, Sandra Oh in Killing Eve, fabulous. Yeah. Again, everybody, a great ensemble in there. Classic David Haig.
Yeah.
And how do you view all this? I mean, I've had BAFTA screeners to look at.
It has to be during the holidays. So we're only watching at night, pretty much. But still, this is the only thing
you get to Netflix. There's so much on there. What do you choose? How do you decide what you're going to look at? And I mean, thankfully, a lot of it, I guess, it's through friends. It's through people doing this, talking.
Yeah.
That you learn. What's that French series? Talk to Your Agent.
Oh yes, I don't know. I haven't seen it, but I heard
friends
a lot
have seen
about
it and said you've got to watch that. It's amazing. It's on Netflix.
Okay, we'll watch it.
Very funny. And then they talk to you about Forever. There's the which I haven't seen.
Please give us your choices of
what have you watched?
Of series that you've watched and that you really like, and not that we don't have a lineup already of things we want to watch still. We're really bummed about Daredevil. I'm like, Daredevil being cancelled. I am so bummed about it.
Everything. I mean, I'm sure this is a political thing here, because Disney now own Marvel, and they're bringing out their own channel because Luke Cage has gone, and the Iron Fist was a pile of poo. To be perfectly honest, I don't even know why they bothered with that one. They didn't seem to be too bothered when they were making it. Daredevil, I'm really shocked. Charlie Cox is so phenomenal in that. It's so well written. It's so well executed as well. Jessica Jones is still going. And Punisher, which I do love.
Punisher, the last series was
it's going to be
really violent.
It is violent. He is
like
violent.
really
he is
bloody.
More violent.
I mean, it's violent if it's taken as Daredevil, and there is some blood, there is some violence in it, but it's not so graphic. Like this one was like destroying a skull. Like it's just like
he's not called the Punisher for nothing. And it's been faithful to the comic strip.
I know.
And he's an extraordinary actor as well, John Bernthal. So yeah, no, Daredevil's gone. We're just crossing fingers that the Tick is going to get a third series, a third season. We'll wait and see. They've not even announced the release of the second season yet. So no one knows when that's coming out.
We'll see.
But because there is lots happening.
A lot happening, and we'd love to have, your views on what we've talked about, those films, and maybe we could just wrap this up now.
I think you must because we're stiff as ever.
Oh my God, 36 minutes of 39 minutes of blah blah blah. Anyway, so maybe just what do you think of awards? Like, what do you how do you see them? Because we don't have TV, so we actually don't really watch them anymore, and we just get the the little clips
Oscars,
on social media.
They're trimming them down by at least an hour, I think, because they're losing viewing figures. They're aware that people just aren't tuning in. They don't want to watch. You love watching them all come up onto the red carpet and seeing what they're wearing.
Yeah.
That's all part and parcel of the excitement, but it's not what everybody wants to tune into. It's trying to find the right host, and as we've seen, that went horribly wrong this year, and no one knows quite what the format is going to be, though they think it's going to be a series of celebrity hosts.
Oh, really?
Yeah, they're not choosing a single host this year after Kevin Hart kind of got thrown out and shot himself in the foot by not apologising. Anyway, that's all gone tits up. So yes, what are your views of those? Do you watch them religiously? I used to when I was in London.
I used to love watching them.
Stay awake sometimes, not always.
Me too. I used to watch them and just if it's an entertainment, if it's not just people receiving awards and saying thank you to your mom, thank you to your dad, thank you to your wife and your kids. Yes, of course.
That is actually what it's about.
Yes, it's about, I know,
it's
but
actually about them receiving the awards. The entertainment is in the middle.
But I love, what I love is also the entertainment with it.
I suppose it's like Super Bowl. People really wait for the half game entertainment.
Well, I want to have,
I'd
love to have actually people who, like the host that has to somehow entertain me, if there's music, if there's, I don't know, anything. Like I used to watch Les Césars. En France, in France. It's boring. It's just so boring. You just like, oh, no, I can't. Les Molières, the same thing for theater. It's just.
BAFTA is Joanna Lumley this year. I mean, it's not exactly.
It just seems it's always the same family around, and it's just.
Well, there you go. There we go. This is the story of the industry, isn't it? It's the same people coming around again and again, picking up the awards, doing the work.
Yeah. Who's voting? Who's voting for really? Who?
Yeah. Well, Academy. In that case, Academy members, certain BAFTA members. I think there are probably about 600 actual voting members at BAFTA. I think I'm really not sure about that because I don't vote for the BAFTAs. I vote for the first round that leads them up to be selected, and not for the films, only for the TV section. So the gifted few that have that opportunity.
Yeah.
And what is it for? Well, yeah, it is to celebrate and congratulate the skill of the artists, be they cinematographer, director, costume designer. And this is an interesting one, which
they also have their own awards separately as well.
They
designers for
they do. I mean,
special effect, and
the Oscars have a separate award ceremony, and they show you little bits of it at the Oscars. But why are casting directors continually overlooked? Now, I do know for the first time ever there is to be a casting directors award ceremony in London.
Ooh,
but the Academy refuses to acknowledge that casting directors have anything to do with the success of a film. At the end of the day, it's the director's choice. Well, as we know, it isn't always the director's choice. It's the producer who really can pull the strings and push the director into a direction. But there are a number of BAFTA screenings I've been to where Avi Kaufman, this particular film, life of me, probably just as well, I can't remember because I'll get the director into trouble, but he completely overlooked the fact that the casting director had lined up for him an extraordinary selection of actors to choose from. And when he was asked about the casting, he said, yes, well, I do have to congratulate myself for that. And I thought, no, you don't. You made that choice. But if Avi hadn't put those actors up for you to choose from, you wouldn't have had that choice. And constantly casting directors, I mean, still the Oscars refuse to acknowledge them. I believe the BAFTAs do. I don't believe there's a casting directors contenders category. I don't believe they're in there. They should be. Nina Gold.
There's so many of them. Yeah.
There are so many of them. But again, you actually do, a bit like actors, you tend to see the same casting directors who are responsible for the big and successful TV shows. So, yeah, I don't know. What do you think about that? Do you think casting directors should have their own award? I feel they should. But of course, I mean, ultimately, it is a business, and the winners are the ones that.
Well, it's true. It's like
they get
it's all about like
rise.
those Oscars or you like you were mentioning. It's Oscars or it gives it puts the value of the actor up, right?
Yeah,
Like
absolutely.
so it becomes
the value of the actor, the director, the
director.
screenwriter.
Yeah, like you get the
Suddenly,
Oscar, so you're
it's gold dust.
Yeah, it's all
hugely
business.
extends
Show
their
business.
fee. It's the business, not the show.
Yeah.
Anyway, listen, we must wrap up here.
Yes, we do.
Because it must be late for you there.
So we
in
still
the
don't
UK.
know what we will be talking about.
No, we've got to put you on
next
film.
week. Well, put me on.
We've got to.
Well, it's been really cold, and I love to be filming outside. So
Yeah.
we're
But we will. That will be our first Diary of an Actor episode. Will be Cécile de la Pierre, actress, filmmaker, director. Thank you for watching. Thank you everyone
so much
for joining.
Stay warm if you're in New York. Stay warm wherever you are in the world. And we look forward
in the UK especially. I know you're receiving
some snow. There's been some snow in
there.
Paris as well.
So
we had
keep
nothing,
safe.
just like a little piece of nothing.
2 centimeters, I think, if we're lucky.
Our TO award was last night celebrating casting directors, says Mark. Okay. Okay, good. That's great.
Is that Radio Times, you mean? What's he saying?
No, RTO.
Oh, RTO. Okay.
RTO awards. Okay. Thank you, Mark.
That is the one ceremony.
Good info. We're going to look into that and see who's got best casting director.
Well, they should receive an Oscar. They really should. And but here we go. You've got ancient old dinosaurs running the academy who refuse to budge. That's probably done my chances in there, having said that.
Exactly.
Well,
You're done. You're done. You'll never get an Oscar.
We've not got room for it anyway in New York apartments. Where do you put an Oscar?
No.
Anyway, lots of love, everyone. And
lots of love.
Thank you for tuning in to Diary of an Actor.
Yes. Have a wonderful weekend.
We'll see you next week.
And yes, please send us all your favorites for this year.
Rachel, Mark.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.
Thank you for watching.
Thank you for watching.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
And this is